Hi everybody, Mr. B here. I'm going to try to give you some homework help on finding measures of spread tonight. Measures of spread describe how the data is spread out. It helps us dig deep into the data to find out what's going on. It's a little more than just knowing what the average is. It helps us find outliers if we have any. It shows us what the range is and more. It shows us how much the data varies from one end to the other. And just kind of helps us look at it as a whole. All right, so if I'm finding measures of spread, the very first thing that I need to do with a set of data, no matter what my data is, I've got to put it in order from least to greatest. This has already been done, okay? And so on your homework, most of those are not already done. You need to do that. So put them in order from least to greatest first. After you do that, you need to find the range, okay? It's easy to find the range because you take the largest number in the set and you subtract the smallest number in the set from it. So if I want to find the range, 96 minus 21, and so my range is 75. There's 75 units or numbers between 21 and 96. So if this was a number line, between 21 and 96, not if it's a number line because we would have all that extra data, but in this set of data, there are 75 between these two numbers. That's how big the set is. That's the range, okay? Next, what we want to do is find the median, and that's easy to do because the median, we've already practiced that a lot, but the median means middle. We're looking for the middle number of this set. And so we can start and go, okay, one on this end, one on this end, one here, one here, one here, one here. And it's easy to find 58 is in the middle. Since there's an odd number of pieces of data, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if there's an odd number of data in the set, there's always going to be one middle number, and then you get and here we've got 3 over here and 3 over here, okay? So the median is what splits this data into two pieces. So our median is 58. What we've done by finding the median is we've taken this set of data and we've broken it into these pieces. We've broken it into this lower half, and we've broken it into this upper half with 3 numbers on each side. Now what we're going to look for is what we call Quartile One, or sometimes we call that Q1, and some people even call it the lower set. Okay, the lower set of data. And so that's obviously this piece that we've broken up over here. And Quartile 1 is the middle of that lower set. And since there's 3 numbers in that lower set, we can see that this right here, Quartile 1, okay, is 40 because that is the middle of that set. Quartile 3, or sometimes called Q3, or the upper set, is the larger set on this side. And Q3 means the middle of that set. So out of this half over here, out of this upper half, okay, Q3 is 75 because it's the middle number in this set of data. So we have found the range, we have found the median, we have found Quartile 1 is 40, Quartile 3 is 75. Okay. The next thing we're going to look for, now that we know what Quartile 1 and Quartile 3 are, the next thing that we're going to look for is what we call Interquartile range. And we abbreviate that by saying IQR. We're talking about the interquartile range. I'm going to switch colors so we can see this a little better. That range, instead of going for the range of the whole data set from 21 to 96 like we did for the whole data set, now we're talking about the range from just Quartile 1 all the way to Quartile 3. And that range, obviously, we're talking about from right here all the way over to here, okay? From Q1 to Q2, all right? And so to find the interquartile range, it's almost just like finding the regular range. You're going to take your top number in that range, 75, and you're going to subtract your lowest number in that range, which is 40. Okay? And easily I can see my IQR is 35, my interquartile range. That means there's 35 between 40 and 75. This helps us a lot of times with data. A lot of times it's important to look at the interquartile range instead of the things that are on the low end or the high end. We want to look at the kind of the meat of what's in there. So interquartile range is used a lot in business. It's used a lot in statistics. It's a good measure of spread. So now that we've got the interquartile range, we can use that to find outliers. Outliers are numbers that are like kind of too far on the outside this way and too far on the outside this way, too low or too high. Okay? To find outliers, what we've got to do is you take your IQR, okay, so that was 35 in this case. It's not always 35, but it's 35 here. And you're going to multiply times 1.5, and that's always going to be the same. It's always 1.5. Whatever your IQR is, times 1.5. And what that does is it tells us what's going to be too far this way or what's going to be too far that way, okay? So we're going to multiply that number. It's probably easier if you set it up like this. Make sure you multiply correctly. I'm going to add these two partial products together. Put your decimal back where it goes. And so 52.5 is what we're going to use. This is 52.5 is not an outlier. It's our magic number. It's what we're going to use to help us find outliers, okay? So it's kind of like the threshold, all right? So we're going to go and use this magic number, and we're going to go back up and say, okay, if I go 52.5 more than Q3, which is 75, if I go 52.5 more, then I'm going to have an outlier if it's in my set. If I go 52.5 less than the low end of Q1, 40, then I'm going to have an outlier in the other direction. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up two problems using my special number. I'm going to do a subtraction problem using my special number and Q1. So I'm going to take Q1, which is 40, and I'm going to subtract my special number from that 52.5, okay? And to do this correctly, I'm going to put in some placeholder zeros that I need to do my subtraction correctly, all right? So when I go to subtract this, what I'm going to find is I'm going to get a negative number because I'm taking away more than I have. There's not any negative numbers in my set. The lowest number in my set is 21. So I'm not going to have any outliers on this side of the data, okay? If I did subtract this, I would get negative 12.5, okay? So I don't have negative 12.5 in my original set of data, and I don't have anything smaller this way either. So I don't have any outliers in that direction. Okay, so now I'm going to set up another problem using my special number, but this time I'm going to do addition. And I'm going to be using that 52.5 again, but now I'm adding that to Q3, okay, so which was 75. So 75 plus my special number 52.5. That means when I add these up, 127.5. That means if 127.5 was in my data set, that would be an outlier. Or if I had 130 or 140 or anything larger than 127.5, that would be an outlier, okay? And so I've used that special number to tell me how far I got to go to find an outlier. And in this case, I had no outliers in this set of data. So I was able to look at the data and determine the range, determine the median, Q1, Q3, which is the middle of either the first half of the data or the middle of the second half of the data. I was able to determine the interquartile range, which is the distance between those two quartiles, 40 and 75. I was able to use the interquartile range times 1.5 to get this little special number here, which leads me to figure out if I do have outliers or if I do not have outliers. All right, I hope this helps. I'm going to do one more video to show how it looks if your data set has an even number of numbers in it. Remember, this one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to show you in part 2 what it looks like if you have an even number in there. All right, so pause this video as much as you want. Go back and use it to help you with your homework tonight. Thanks for watching.